Good morning and welcome to Friday's Ireland AM. We've lots on the way for you between now and 10 a.m.
Hundreds of thousands of workers who are on the PUP scheme are still facing tax bills. We'll have that story and everything else making today's papers.
The HSE has announced a plan to tackle overcrowding and understaffing during the winter months, but is this plan actually achievable? We'll be discussing later.
Now, UEFA has opened an investigation following a chant. The Ireland's Women's World Cup playoff. We chat through the sport headlines just before 8.
Plus, he's one half of the Hairy Bikers. Celebrity chef Cy King chats to us.
And professional dancer Laura Nolan will be here telling us how she's preparing to become one of Hollywood's most iconic women, Marilyn Monroe.
Now, Derek, our weather oracle, is out and about this morning. Where are you today, Derek?
Yeah, good morning to you. We're live from the Liberties here this Friday morning. We have showers to top and tail the island. Guess what, guys? We have rain Saturday into Sunday as well. Wet and blustery right across the weekend. So it really is one for the duvet over the next couple of days. Sorry about that.
Any chance of any good news ever, Derek?
Well, I'll be in Tenerife. I won't care.
Oh, it's well for so. What's the weather like in Tenerife? We'll find that out from Derek later. Now, we'll head over to the Virgin Media News Hub. Here's Rob O'Hanrahan.
Thanks, Anton. Good morning. Hugh Kelly will be laid to rest today in Creasla as the funerals continue for the victims of last Friday's explosion. In the wake of the tragedy, the community is being urged to avail of the supports and services that are now being put in place.
For the fourth day in a row, the village of Creasla will today come to a standstill to bury another victim of last Friday's explosion. Hugh Kelly will be laid to rest. The 59-year-old, who was also known as Hughie, was a farmer from Castledoe, just outside the village. The funeral mass for the remaining two victims, Robert Garway and his 5-year-old daughter Shauna Flanagan Garway, will take place over the coming days. Shauna was the youngest victim of the blast. She was in the shop with her father to buy a birthday cake for her mum. Yesterday, Father John Joe Duffy, who has officiated over many of the funerals held this week, urged the community to seek support and to avail of the counselling services being offered by the HSE. Aisling Nicostala, Virgin Media News in Creasla, County Donegal.
The US committee investigating the January 6th Capitol Hill riots has voted to subpoena US President Donald Trump for documents and testimony. It came in the final hearing before the midterm elections, in which the committee continued to argue that Trump remains a danger to democracy ahead of the 2024 presidential election. The committee's leaders argued that Trump was at the centre of efforts to overturn the 2020 election that led to the violence of the insurrection, and as a result, they say Trump's testimony is required to tell the complete story of January 6th, 2021.
It is almost certain that Donald Trump will not testify. Already his spokesman has been dismissing this move as a partisan exercise. And so we have every expectation that he will not agree to testify. He, of course, did not offer to appear voluntarily, so we would not expect him to comply with the subpoena. And I think one thing to note timing-wise is much depends on what happens in the midterm elections, because if Republicans were to take control of the House, presumably the subpoena would be withdrawn and the investigation goes away, and there would be no more compelled obligation on Donald Trump to respond.
A new report from the EPA shows that water quality in Ireland has further declined, and the country could now fail to meet EU and national goals as a result. The Water Quality in Ireland report 2016 to 2021 provides the latest assessment of the quality of Ireland's rivers, lakes, estuaries, coastal and groundwaters. The report found that only just over half of these bodies of water are in satisfactory condition. The EPA says the main pressures on water quality are agriculture, physical changes to land, forestry activities and discharges from urban wastewater. Pressure is mounting on the UK government to U-turn on spending plans in order to restore calm to the financial system as the finance minister returned early from an IMF trip. Liz Truss has continued to defend her mini-budget in Parliament and has insisted she would not cut public spending, but her comments came amid heightened concerns over rising government borrowing costs. There are widespread reports this morning that Finance Minister Kwasi Kwarteng has also now cut short a trip to Washington as speculation of a humiliating U-turn mounts. In the US, 5 people have been killed in North Carolina's capital city after a gunman opened fire along a walking trail. The gunman then led police on an hours-long manhunt in Raleigh that forced residents across multiple neighbourhoods to take shelter in their homes. Officers eventually contained the suspect in a residence before arresting him just before 10 p.m. local time, according to authorities. Homes in Melbourne and other cities in Australia's southeast have been flooded, with rivers forecast to remain dangerously high for days. The Victoria State Emergency Service said it has carried out 108 flood rescues in the past 48 hours, with evacuation orders in place for a number of towns in the region. The Bureau of Meteorology has said major to record flooding was occurring or was forecast to occur on many rivers in Victoria and in the island state of Tasmania to the south. And finally, Oregon's Portland Zoo has welcomed in the Halloween season for some of its largest residents. Elephants in the zoo have been tackling some giant pumpkins donated by a local growers club. It's a tradition stretching back to 1999, where the elephants are given the seasonal treat every Halloween. The pumpkins weigh in at between 130 and nearly 400 kilos each, but were no match for the much larger elephants.
For car insurance, van insurance or home insurance, call the Quote Devil. Unless, of course, you've got money to burn.
Thank you, Joan. A very good morning to you at home, or if you're indeed watching us online on the Player, whatever part of the world you may be in. We're coming to you live here from the heart of the Liberties, right across the morning, just over my shoulder here. That is the Church of St Nicholas of Myra, and we're going to be hopping around the Liberties here in the heart of Dublin city centre, right across the morning. Anyway, let's take an opening look at weather together now with Mark Armstrong on cameras this 14th of the month, and it is a bit of a showery start into parts of Donegal, Cavan and Monaghan at the moment, through Munster, parts of Tip into Cork, and West County Waterford not escaping either, but as we're holding drier in those light to moderate westerly winds. Now, right across the day, in fact, it's going to be that mixture of sunshine and scattered showers. Not good news for the sunny southeast, because it will be quite cloudy there into that southeastern corner right across the day. A little bit on the chillier side too. A wee dip in terms of those temperatures back to 10 to 14. And finally then tonight, this is where conditions will slide through parts of the west. We're going to see that system develop for those Atlantic coastal counties, bringing with it heavy rain crisscrossing the island. We're going to see a risk of thunderstorm activity, even a risk of hail as well, as those winds veer to the southwest. And again, another chilly, another quite cool night in store, with values back to 3 to 7 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up here in the heart of the Liberties in Dublin city centre at the moment. We'll catch you back live at 7:35.
For first-time drivers, young drivers, returning drivers, if you've had an open claim or have had too many penalty points.
The Quote Devil's always got one hell of a quote.
Now let's check on your morning paper, starting with the Irish Times. The headline there reads, Ireland will fail to meet EU water quality goal, warns EPA. The paper reports Ireland will fail to meet the EU and national goal of restoring all waters, including rivers and lakes, to good or better status by 2027. The Environmental Protection Agency has warned, saying agriculture has been having a disproportionate impact on declining standards.
280,000 still facing tax bills over PUP benefits. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. The paper is detailing how hundreds of thousands of people have yet to contact Revenue to sort out how they're going to pay the tax they owe on the pandemic unemployment payment they received during lockdowns.
The Examiner leads with overcrowding experts for CUH. The paper reports that the same team of HSE experts sent to the University Hospital Limerick in a bid to tackle chronic overcrowding will be deployed to Cork University Hospital and Galway University Hospital, Health Minister Stephen Donnelly has said. On to the tabloids now, and start saving for Christmas is the top story on the Daily Mail. The paper reports that households need to start saving for Christmas now, experts have warned, as 12 months of non-stop price hikes continue to hit us in the wallet. The Mirror goes with Cab to seize Kinahan Mansion. The paper reports that the Criminal Assets Bureau got the go-ahead to seize the mansion from Daniel Kinahan yesterday. The Sun, it goes with that story. Its headline, Keys to the Kingdom. The Herald also goes with that story. They lead with money's too tight to mansion. There's plenty of time to reach us if you want to. You can text us for free on WhatsApp. The number is 0896 111 111. You can, of course, email irelandam@virginmedia.ie. And you can find us at Ireland AM VMTV on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Up next, from POP benefits to rising grocery costs, we chat through the top stories making today's papers. I can't speak today. I need more coffee. Stay with us. Well, you're welcome back to Ireland AM. And joining us to talk through today's top stories, making the papers, is political reporter with the Irish Times, Jack Horgan-Jones. Jack, good morning to you.
Morning.
We have, of course, to start this morning with the unfolding events in Donegal. Funerals again today. Such a heartbreaking time for the entire community.
It really is, and I think it's been such an incredibly difficult week. Obviously for the bereaved and for the immediate community in Creasle, but also I think that everyone has found the volume of hard news coming out and the difficulty in dealing with the scale of the tragedy, comprehending the scale of the tragedy. And it continued yesterday with the funerals of Leona Harper, 14 years old, and Martina Martin, 49 years old, who worked in the Apple Green shop. And I think that you saw, again, you know, that wider spirit of community, not only from the locality, but also a wider sense of community. The IRFU, the Irish Rugby Football Union, represented at the funeral of Leona Harper, as we know from the coverage, was a Keane rugby player, and the Defence Forces were represented at the funeral of Martina Martin, two of her sons in the Defence Forces. So you have this kind of dynamic over the week where the wider communities have come together. And of course, as we all know, anyone who's been bereaved, you know, the week of the funeral, the days of the funeral, those kind of things can help you through, but really the hard part starts now, you know, when the funeral is gone and the tide goes out and you're left only with that profound sense of loss. So obviously one would hope that that kind of wider effort continues to kind of hope to carry through the bereaved in this most difficult time.
And the sense of loss that must be so much more difficult to deal with by virtue of the nature of it. I mean, it's the kind of thing where if you lose somebody through illness, even if you lose something through something like a road accident, it is at least within the norms of the kind of things that might happen, and there's a way to process it. But how do you deal with the unfairness of knowing your loved one went to buy a paper to get a gift for somebody and now they're gone?
That's it. I mean, I think that, you know, when there is a bereavement, people try and find meaning within it sometimes, and there just is no meaning sometimes to extract from something that is just so abrupt, so dramatic, so profoundly random as something like this, and at such a scale as well. So in the absence of that meaning, all that you're left with is that grief, that collective grief, that individual grief, and that's what we've seen all over our screens and all over the newscast this week. And it is unfortunately going to continue with the funerals this weekend of Shauna Flanagan Garway, just 5 years old, and her father, Robert Garway, which is obviously going to be a very difficult time for everyone that we've mentioned, all the above, and I think for the country as a whole.
Of course, Hugh Kelly, who's the oldest victim of the tragedy, he's to be laid to rest today as well, which is it's just heartbreaking trying to get, especially like where I'm from, a small little area as well, and imagining something like that happening in the one local shop we had. It's just it's beyond comprehension.
Yeah, I mean,
look,
it's very in a very literal and real sense, it's torn the heart from the community physically, in that the building, which would have been the meeting point for the wider community of Creasle, is gone. You know, it's obliterated and taken so many lives with it in one fell swoop. It's just even a week on as it is today, it's hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah, of course, today being the 1 week anniversary, it was later this afternoon last week that this happened. Can we move on to the other story that's making the news today, which relates to the PUP payments? And this is an interesting one because the PUP payment obviously put in place to support people if they had lost a significant chunk of their income or if they were furloughed for COVID. And then they come back to work to discover, hang on a minute, I have now accrued a tax bill on that, and it's my tax bill, not my employer's tax bill.
Yeah, it was a sting in the tail of what was a very difficult time for people because, as you correctly say, you didn't pay income tax, PRSI or USC. It wasn't deducted at source when you received not only the PUP, the pandemic unemployment payment, but the TWIS, as it was called, the temporary wage subsidy scheme. So basically, the way that shook out in the end was a lot of people were left with a not insignificant tax bill. And there's a story on the front of today's Irish Independent, Charlie Weston, reporting that there's still almost 300,000 people, 280,000 people in the estimation of revenue who have not made a settlement in relation to that outstanding tax bill. So what it looks like is that, you know, a not insignificant number of people are going to be facing having that figure, whatever figure they owe. They reckon it's about maybe €2,500, up to €2,500 if you made a wage of 67.5 grand, deducted from their tax credits over the 4 years to come. So, you know, at a time where people are facing increasing and sustained increases in cost of living, this is yet another slice to be taken away from that ever-diminishing pile of money that's left at the end of the month.
I was talking to a tax consultant when this originally came in, and one of the things that he was saying was, look, people need to be told, brace yourself for the bill that's coming. Now, those who did at least were able to prepare for it. Those who didn't are now finding themselves saying, well, where am I going to find the money in this tight environment to pay for it? The bit that I never understood was, Why would the government give with one hand and take away with the other? Why not just net it off at the point at which the payment is given?
I never understood that as well. I mean,
That
it seemed
me a lot, to be honest.
And it seems, I think that there may be a bit of a backlash because people will quite reasonably be saying, you know, I was in extremely hard times. You know, I was left on the pup and gracious for the increased level that was paid at. But nonetheless, I was out of work dealing with a great deal of uncertainty. And I didn't really want to worry or have the capacity to worry about my tax bill at the time. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. And all of a sudden, years later, and for a period of years, you'll be facing having your tax credit sliced again. Now, I suppose on the flip side, there does seem to be a number of people who have overpaid, about 181,000 people who have overpaid to the tune collectively of just under 100 million euros. So it looks like those people will be getting something back. Looks like an average of about 500 euros. So some people better off, a lot more people worse off, it seems.
Especially trying to pay it back in the current cost of living crisis. And speaking of which, it's in the papers as well today.
Time to save for Christmas,
Time to start saving up for Christmas. And maybe it's kind of shutting the barn door after the horse has bolted now, because we're right in Christmas season now, after literally, because all the shops, the decorations are up. People are flogging their wares left, right and centre. A couple of months ago, the toy shops were warning, get your orders in now because things mightn't be ready. So it's an interesting one there.
It is. Well, look, I mean, Christmas is a challenging time, I think, for households up and down the country every single year, and those challenges are going to be even more accentuated this year, you know, because of obviously the cost of living crisis. We're talking about that slicing effect on your income every single month, and that's going to be a slicing effect that's added with a massive chunk of outgoings this Christmas. And, you know, just to emphasise that, we had the CSO figures yesterday come out, annualised inflation of 8.2% to the end of September, and the average yearly grocery bill. We think of this as something that might be concentrated largely in the energy market, but obviously there's downstream effects on the grocery market as well. So the average yearly grocery bill for a household up €1,200, staples like pasta and cheese and all these kind of things going up. So, you know, this Christmas coming in on top of that is going to be a big thing. I suspect that people are going to lean heavily into those lump sum payments. Obviously, you know, people on lower incomes receiving lump sum social welfare payments, but also families getting that double child benefit payment and the €600.
Except, like,
I think people will just use that for Christmas, and I think that'll add to the dynamic where people are going to run out of money after Christmas.
But if you run the numbers that you've just given us, if you've 8% annualised inflation, let's say you're on 40 grand, that means that your actual spending capacity has dropped by what, about €3,500 across that period.
Yes.
Plus €1,200 in cost of living increase, so you're up to 5k, plus probably another €1,000 in your grocery. So you're £6 grand worse off on 40k.
£6 grand worse off, and I mean,
before you even start,
people may have seen a wage increase, but obviously it's lagging well behind the cost of living effects. So to be hit with an extra expensive Christmas at that time, it's going to be difficult for a lot of people, you know. And you often see a dynamic of people getting into debt around Christmas. I suspect that'll be something that comes as well.
It's the first Christmas in many years that we can actually have a so-called normal Christmas, that we're not in some shape of lockdown.
Don't call it a meaningful Christmas, yeah.
Fingers crossed. I'm touching all the wood now at the moment that we won't have any further measures introduced. But it is it's just such a shame that people actually can't just enjoy this year that it's come to this. That
a quiet year would be nice.
Yeah, just nothing.
You say that every year.
Yeah, just a quiet year would now be nice.
Yeah.
Right, there's 72 days left till Christmas. There's that one thing, just in case you're counting like I am. Anyway, there's plenty of time to reach us. Thank you so much, Jack. You can text us for free on WhatsApp. The number is 0896 111 111.
You can email irelandam@virginmedia.ie.
And you can find us at irelandam VMTV on Facebook, Twitter and on Instagram.
Now, up next, as the HSE tackle their winter plan, will enough staff be recruited in time?
We'll be discussing this after the break.
The HSE have recently revealed their winter plans in the flu and COVID-19 face of a potential pandemic surge.
The plan sees an additional 600 healthcare staff hired, including 51 emergency consultants. But is this a realistic goal, and how will Ireland's healthcare staff be affected coming into the winter months? Joining us to discuss is Dr Clive Killgallen, who is the president of the Irish Medical Organisation. Clive, we are used to pretty much every year seeing, particularly the INMO, put out the figures on the trolley crisis, the amount of people that are waiting in A&E, all the rest of it. When you add into that the backlog of cases that will have happened during the pandemic that have to be processed, and when you add in the potential of a flu and COVID surge, how bleak does this winter look?
It's going to be difficult, like other winters. I suppose if we just look back at the context is that we've had a healthcare service that even before COVID was creaking and just about to survive. The COVID crisis, the pandemic, was extremely difficult for our healthcare service. We haven't actually recovered as yet. So now we have this very difficult healthcare service that's hard, that's creaking under pressure, and this plan is sort of on top of that to try and do something for this annual thing where every kind of winter there's an increase in respiratory viruses, influenza, and now
the plan
COVID.
you refer to, this is the HSE winter plan of investment.
Now, the problem is you can have all the plans you want and all the documents you want and all the policies you want, but ultimately you have a patient that needs to come in contact with the doctor and obviously other healthcare staff as well and have a bed. There's an increasing number of patients because our population has increased by about 500,000 in the last number of years. Many of those are over 65, so that's in the target zone for COVID and the respiratory viruses. There's a lack of doctors, and there's a lack of hospital beds. So even if you look at hospital beds, even the government in their white paper that they've had reviews, they say at a minimum 2,500 beds. Looking at our interpretation of the document, we reckon we need 5,000 beds to make things good, and then there's a shortage of doctors. So
if the whole plan is to recruit extra staff, you have 51 consultants, and they're talking about 600 extra staff, can't even retain the staff we have. There's a mass emigration of medical personnel in Ireland. I mean, it doesn't seem that it's quite any way feasible.
I can't see. They want 50 new ED consultants coming in. I say this is great. This is wonderful.
Where are they going to get them?
I don't know is the answer to that. But even if they did get them and they put in 50 consultants, which is realistically not going to happen because it takes about a year to get a consultant in, those will not necessarily change a whole lot because the problem with the emergency department is not necessarily the emergency departments themselves. It's getting the patient into the hospital because there's a shortage of beds and getting the patients treated within the hospital because it's hard to get things done in the hospital because there's not enough CT scanners, all of those resources. Then it's hard getting the patient out at the other end into the community. So it's like a chain. So it's a chain of 3 or 4 things that all have to happen. So there's a shortage and the system is stretched all across.
But will the HSE not point to aspects of this plan and of Sláinte Care and say, for instance, some of the aspects that you describe, tertiary and step-down facilities, there's increased investment in those, in some of the kind of scanning and equipment that you've described, those kind of things can have money poured at them and be relatively fast solutions compared to staffing, no?
There are good things happening. Yes, is the answer to that. And out in the community, I mean, one of the aspects of the government plan is to maximise vaccinations. This is a very good thing, and I think for a message to your viewers and people who are listening, if you're in, please do get vaccinated. If you're in that, if you look on the website, if you're over 55, if you've got a chronic disease, please do get your vaccine. That's really important, to get your influenza vaccine, to get your COVID booster, if that's the first thing you can do. And obviously for patients to risk assess the situation coming into this scenario, if the COVID rates increase, influenza increases, you know what to do. The population, as Irish population, has proven itself. We know what to do. Wear a mask, risk assess. There's good work happening in the community with the general practitioners managing chronic disease. This is a good news story. But there's a lack of general practitioners. All of them are working hard. They're all working extra hours. There's a shortage of them. We need more. And in the acute hospital sectors, we're under pressure. There's a shortage of doctors. There's a shortage of resources.
Yeah, because if you look at what we train, 650 doctors annually here, we're losing about 400 of them at the moment because they're emigrating. That's a shocking statistic. Place that, let's say, for most people, you want to go into an emergency department. And when people do, they tend to, in an emergency, you're having serious issues, falls, heart attacks, things like that. But I was speaking to people who are working in ED recently, and it's like, fine, we have somebody in, we triage them, they're fine, get them scanned, we need them admitted, there's no place to put them, there's not even a trolley in a lot of instances, they're hooked up to drips sitting in a chair, corridors are blocked, everything's blocked, the backlog is absolutely ridiculous. So it's a bit too late, really, isn't it, to be making any plans? We've known this has been a problem for years. You said the health system was bursting at the seams before COVID happened. I mean, throwing all the money in the world now and throwing all the resources in the world now won't help in the next 3 months.
It's going to be hard in the next 3 months, but I will tell you the dedication of all our healthcare working staff, and that's of doctors, nurses, radiographers, people working in the laboratories. Yeah, we know it's not going to be easy.
But they're burnt out, they're exhausted.
Yes, we are burnt out. We will do what we will to make sure that patients are seen, because that's what we do, and we're passionate about it. But there's a cost, and I talk to many doctors, And yeah, they are burnt out. And I hear stories about people who are stressed and they're just frazzled. So it's going to be
How
hard.
do we retain doctors, though? Like, what should we be doing? What should the government be doing to keep doctors working in Ireland? Because apart from the conditions in hospitals, you've the pay issue, the hours, 80 hours a week when they should be only working 42, particularly for non-hospital consultant doctors. I mean, it's no one plan to fix it. It's a multifaceted approach needs to be done. But what do you think right now needs to be done to stop doctors leaving the medical profession, retiring early, or even emigrating?
There's basic issues of kind of pay and conditions for both NCHDs and consultants. The NCHDs are not getting paid for the hours they work. There's a pay discrepancy at a consultant level. Basic pay and conditions. But working in the hospital system, doctors like to doctor at the end of the day. And when you see a sick patient, you want to be able to do something for your patient. You want to be able to get an X-ray easy. You want to be able to admit them to the ward. In our healthcare system right now, it's sort of a life event trying to get an urgent CT scan. So trying to make sure that basic infrastructure that you're working with, it's easy to get things done. And this is what we hear for people working in these in other jurisdictions. It's not a problem to get all of that simple stuff done. It's not a problem to get a patient seen by an endoscopy. You have a theatre list that you can see the patient. We find our doctors just can't do the work that they're trained to.
But at the same time as all this, we have Stephen Donnelly telling us repeatedly that sláinte care is the panacea and that all we have to do is wait and any minute now it'll be resolved.
For sláinte care, you need doctors, though.
Well, you need doctors and you need doctors and you need hospital beds and you need a primary care infrastructure and you need public health. Remember, keeping healthy patients healthy is the most important thing, and the public health doctors do that. I think that sláinte care means a lot to many people, but I think that if sláinte care means investing in primary care, investing in public health care, getting more hospital beds in, improving the conditions, getting more doctors in, getting patients more seen, I say that's great. That's what...
We were talking before we came on air that you saw a billboard recently that was particularly disheartening.
I saw two of them, actually.
Two of them,
yeah.
oh God.
Yeah.
Tell our viewers about that.
I saw a photograph of one, but then I was on the bus into town and I saw a billboard photograph of an advertisement from Australia inviting all healthcare workers to work in Australia with a very nice picture. And I'm just thinking, Australia knows that Irish healthcare workers, not only the doctors, the nurses, the radiology staff, everybody that works in the are incredibly highly trained, top of the game. They want us. Irish healthcare workers are like gold dust, and they want us. And when people go to Australia, it's a different atmosphere. They seem to be welcomed.
And the reports back of the working conditions and the lifestyle that you can have by comparison are extremely positive.
One of the big changes, or one of the changes that we are in terms of our workforce is, certainly at a medical level, there's a lot more women coming into our workforce, and that has to be cherished and embraced and encouraged and supported, because our new workers, they're looking for a decent work-life balance. They want to work hard, they want to see the patients, they want to be able to look after their kids, to raise their families, and have time off at the end of it. And that's a really important thing.
We'll obviously see long term how it goes, and short term we'll keep our fingers crossed for this winter. Clive, thank you very much for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
Up next, your Friday Sports Review. See you back here in 3. Now let's check on your morning paper, starting with the Irish Times. Its headline reads, Ireland will fail to meet EU water quality goal, warns EPA. The paper reports Ireland will fail to meet the EU and national goal of restoring all waters, including rivers and lakes, to good or better status by 2027. The Environmental Protection Agency has warned, saying agriculture has been having a disproportionate impact on declining standards.
280,000 still facing tax bills over PUP benefits. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. The paper details how hundreds of thousands of people have yet to contact Revenue to sort out how they're going to pay the tax they owe on the pandemic unemployment payment that they received during lockdowns.
The Examiner leads with overcrowding experts for CUH. The paper reports that the same team of HSE experts sent to University Hospital Limerick in a bid to tackle chronic overcrowding will be deployed to Cork University Hospital and Galway University Hospital, Health Minister Stephen Donnelly has said.
On to the tabloids now, and start saving for Christmas. That's the top story on the Daily Mail. The paper is reporting that households need to start saving for Christmas now, as experts are warning that after 12 months of non-stop price hikes, it's going to continue to be a problem hitting us in the wallet.
The Mirror goes with Cab 2C's Kinahan mansion. The paper reports that the Criminal Assets Bureau got the go-ahead to seize property from Daniel Kinahan yesterday.
The Sun also goes with that story. Its headline, Keys to the Kingdom.
And the Herald also goes with that story. It leads with money's too tight to mansion.
Now, Elaine, you did say that it was 72 days to Christmas?
In and around that, yes.
Yeah, but it's still October, which means it's my favourite year.
Oh, yeah,
my favourite one of the year.
no.
It's Halloween, and of course, it's scary movie time. Do we like scary movies? I know you hate them. Well,
Do you like scary movies? I don't like being
I'm not
scared.
a huge fan. I mean,
What's your reason why? Is it because you're a big scaredy cat? Can we say that on air?
Yeah, sure, okay, if you want. Let's go with that.
Are you the same?
No, it's because it's some of the ones, you know, that they have the songs in it, like, we're gonna get you, get up out of bed, and those things, and I'm like,
Yeah. So did you know, though, that fear can have a sweet spot in humans? And it can.
What do you mean?
I think that's what I get from it, is a sweet spot from being absolutely terrified, and the fear. It's like a sweet spot. It's like a nervous energy, and that is brought on by some of the most iconic films known to man when it comes to horror films. We've got the top 5. So can you guess which might be in there at all?
I'm going to give you I Need a Young Priest and an Old Priest, The Exorcist.
Okay.
that has to be the first
Has to
one.
be Poltergeist.
Halloween.
I'll give you now. So at number 5, we're going to 2014, which is the most recent horror film. It's called It Follows. Now, you might know it by the poster that we have here to show you. I think we've got it's basically the varying perspectives of being tortured by a shape-shifting monster. Now, like I said, that's 2014. There's been some whopper horror over the years since then, but that's what people have now voted for. In at number 4, you're talking songs, we're talking scares, we're talking bursting through the door with an axe. Of course, it is The Shining.
No, mostly boardom.
In at number
Long
4.
periods of boredom.
I think it's the two kids.
Oh, it goes on and on and
If
on.
I see a child skating down like a corridor, I'm thinking, you're evil, you're a dangerous child.
Is that Here's Johnny?
Yeah, Here is Johnny. But in at number 3, from 2007, Paranormal Activity. Now, although there's been 46,000...
That's very scary.
Yeah, there's been 46,000 remakes of this, but the first one, the original one, was new of its kind. That and the Blair Witch Project had kind of brought in a whole new era. In at number 2, Halloween. Halloween is in at number 2. Now, the original, Jamie Lee Curtis as, you know, the head of
Leatherface.
And she's back. The last of them is out at the moment.
Halloween Ends is out at the moment. Now,
His
reviews
promise
are...
there's going to be no more Halloweens.
I don't think she'll sign on, because like that, she is the original Scream Queen. She is the idol of horror fans known to man. Her and Neve Campbell. In at number 1, though, you said it right, The Exorcist is still the biggest horror film of all time.
I am too scared to watch that. Have you seen The Exorcist?
I've seen it a long time ago. I don't know if it still holds up. Does it after all these years?
I think the older ones are worse.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for that, Paul. I'm going to have nightmares tonight. There's plenty of time to reach us. You can text us for free on WhatsApp. The number is 0896 111 111.
You can email your favourite horror films at irelandam@virginmedia.ie.
And you can find us at Ireland AM VMTV on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
Harry Biker's Cy King chats to us next. See you after the break.
Well, you're welcome back. Our next guest is one half of everyone's favourite culinary double act, the Hairy Bikers.
Chef Cy King joins us now to tell us about the Hairy Bikers' brand new book, Brilliant Bake. Cy, you're very welcome to Ireland AM. Thank you for joining us this morning.
No, not at all. The greatest of pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. It's lovely to see you both.
So first of all, tell us about this new book.
Well, look, it's a book about the celebration of, you know, Dave and I never write books that we don't want to write, you know, even though the publishers keep going, do you want to write this? No. But we do want to write Brilliant Bakes, because what it is it's really a recognition and a bit of a nod to our mums and our aunties and the culture of baking in the households in the UK and further afield. Well, just generally, you know, a bit of a nod to that, really. And then we've brought all of those traditional recipes up with a little bit of a Hairy Bikers twist and up to date. So we wanted it to be one of those books that, you know, have got thumb marks on and the treacles sticking pages together and there's flour all over it. And we wanted it to be one of those type of books. So that's why we wrote it, and we've had a great laugh doing it. Actually, it's been fab.
Well, where you talk about the hairy biker's twist, there's one recipe in particular that I think hits that on the head. And in part, I just want you to hear you say the name of it with your accent. The Vindaloo sausage roll.
The Vindaloo sausage roll. You can't, yeah. Greg's, eat your heart out. That was, you can't, it's like those little canapé things, you know, when you want that, just like that big hit of spice. So Dave and I said, right, let's do a Vindaloo sausage roll, bizarrely. But and they're absolutely fab. So if you do want to make them, because they're just great. Yeah.
How did you come up with these recipes? Because something like the Vindaloo sausage roll looks like something invented on the way back from the pub.
You're not too far wrong. Yes, it is a bit like that. The whole process is we work with a fantastic team that we're very loyal to, you know, and we've been working with them now for about 15 years. And normally how it works is we'll just come up with about 2 headlines of stuff that we want to eat, because we figure that if we want to eat it, so will everybody else. And that's kind of never failed us yet. So and then we start to kind of edit it all down to the recipes that are just kind of sticking through conversation. So I have to say, though, the front cover looks like Kenny Rogers and William Shakespeare's just written a book about bacon, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? When did Kenny Rogers join the Hairy Bakers? What's up a lot about?
Well, I tell you what, Kenny Rogers is in great shape this weather. You mustn't be eating as much of the treacle cakes that are in the book as is humanly possible. You're looking very fit.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm being good for once in my life. For once in my life, I'm being pretty sensible.
You mentioned 15 years with the same team. You're now probably nudging 20 years working with Dave. Has it become like the Eagles, where you stand on your own separate bit of carpet, so you're not actually sharing space together?
No, it definitely has not. No, we're inseparable. You kind of get a cigarette paper between us, you know. We're like brothers, you know. Our families are extensions of each other's as well, so that's really lovely. And you know, he's my best mate, and that's who I prefer. You know, if I can spend as much time with him as I can.
Yeah, but with best,
it's the only mate I've got.
But with best mates as well. I mean, it can't all be plain sailing over the years.
No, look, I often get asked this, and really, we're like an old pair of slippers, you know, because you know what it's like, guys. You're just so busy doing what you do that you don't need any more drama in your life, and certainly confrontation is not something that Dave and I like. So we just instinctively know each other. We've got those. We're very lucky in the sense that relationship works, because Dave's quite different to me. But it just kind of works. We just muddle along. We had one spat once about mayonnaise in a supermarket and swap up mund in Namibia. But that was it, really. And we just thought, well, this is not going to get us anywhere fast. So.
Well, this brings something upside, because I think to be able to say the sentence, me and my best friend had one fight about mayonnaise in a supermarket.
In Namibia.
It's not easy to say this early, you know. I've got to tell you.
But you've the most amazing set of shared experiences between the two of you, where you've filmed over the years. I assume, like Vietnam is case in point, that must be one of the top, is it?
It is, you know. I think what's been really interesting about the whole thing about the bikers is that it's about other people's stories, really, and we're just a conduit for that. Because you know, we'll have our time when we're cooking and having a crack on with each other, but mostly food doesn't just happen in isolation, does it? It's part of a culture. It's part of people's lives. It's part of people's hearts and souls. It's defined by where they live. It's defined by the geography. So to tell all of that story, and to tell it with a little bit of a light heart and some social history as well, that's what the bikers are about. So all those shared experiences are wonderful, because you get to meet people, just normal people in the street that you wouldn't ordinarily meet, and get them to tell their story about, you know, their granny's pho bowl, for instance, in Vietnam. But also, conversely, that there is that thing that I didn't really get along with Vietnam at all, because I mean, I loved it, but there was no cultural touchstones. It was very, very, very different. So I was thinking, oh, right, not entirely sure what to do here. And that's the great thing about travel, isn't it?
Yeah. But when it comes to your actual shows, I mean, many, many millions of people have viewed them and loved them over the last years. But kind of marrying bikes and cooking and two lads from where you're from, it's not the most immediate of recipes when it comes to a cookery show. Where did you get the idea for that to take that slant on it?
Do you know, it was just something that we did. We did it anyway, so we just thought, I wonder if we can try and get this off the ground, and that's genuinely it. Dave lived up in Huntly, and when money and time allowed me to get up to Huntly in Aberdeenshire and the Scottish Highlands, and we went to France together, we just potted about on the bikes, and we just thought, why don't we try and get this off the ground? And it took us 3 years, which is probably why, because it wasn't as you say, it wasn't a natural thing that people do, is it? You know, excuse me, would you mind giving me lots and lots of resources to go around the world and meet people, and by the way, we want to ride the bikes.
That sounds like your perfect job.
I was going to say, yeah, it's not a bad gig if you can get it. Come here, so we've been talking a lot about Dave in his absence. How is he this weather?
Listen, he's doing all right. He's getting stronger by the day, really, and all the numbers, because it comes down to numbers at this point in the game, doesn't it? About and he's in the trenches of his chemotherapy, but he's as tough as an old boot. You know, he's doing all right. He's doing all right, and he's getting there. So just fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. But he's definitely getting stronger. There's no two ways about that. Definitely.
Well, will you pass on our regards and our congratulations on the new book? The Hairy Biker's brilliant new book, appropriately called Brilliant Bakes, is out now. Big thank you to Cy King joining us there. You can catch up on the latest season of Hairy Bikers on the Virgin Media Player.
Now, up next, we're going to see who creates the best autumnal wreath. My money's on Paul. I don't think you'll be any good at it, Anton. Anyway, stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
Well, you're welcome back. Who said wreaths were strictly for Christmas? With celebrities all over social media showing off their autumnal decorations, we thought we'd get in on the trend too.
Florist Joeanna Caffrey joins us now to show us how we can up our autumnal game with a wreath for your front door or as a centrepiece for the table. Good morning, Joanna.
Good morning, how are you?
Now, is it a big trend? Obviously, we've seen celebrities do it. Is this a big trend, kind of getting in and doing your own thing now?
Yes, I think people really enjoy making something for their homes, and I'm trying to show something today that you can really do easily at home.
Yeah.
So I've tried to choose materials that you can get from your garden, or maybe on an autumnal walk.
Because sometimes you can go and look for a wreath and they can be like wildly expensive, whereas you're saying you can just do it from the stuff that's at home.
Yeah, well, you can try. Yeah. And you might need to kind of buy a few little bits from your local florist, but ideally, if you can do it from home, even better.
OK, great.
Yeah.
Paul has put his competitive pants on because
this is what we'll be making.
We're going to emulate this,
Yes.
and the two of us are taking each other on.
And I
OK.
have all your materials. So bush ivy is very... I've just added a ribbon to an oasis ring and I've soaked it upside down.
My God, you get a fair bit of water into these. They're heavy.
They're heavy.
Right.
Oh, that's
so
what
you
it is.
take your ivy and you go the same direction, starting at the base
Okay,
and
we're
working your way around.
This isn't your first rodeo, Joanna.
I never see this.
So we work the whole way around.
I'll
And
just lean
you
in a
can
bit so
use-
Paul can't see.
Yeah, it's a competition. So you can use any materials from your garden, really. There's beautiful autumnal colours. All you have to do is open your eyes when you're out and about. Everything is absolutely
And how long will they last
beautiful.
once they're in the oasis ring? Do they survive for long?
It depends on how warm it is. So if this is hanging on your door outside, then it'll last very long.
Is this like something like this? Is this creating kind of big businesses for florists around the country to kind of do their own thing instead of going in to buy something?
Yes, but a lot of people would still get influence from their local florist. Instagram is very big at the moment, so online demos for autumnal wreaths are very big. People really enjoy doing it themselves, just like cooking.
Yeah.
So now we've got our ivy in.
Okay.
So I've just brought a little bit out the top.
Okay.
So you can maybe just change a few.
Can I just say something? Anton Savage is just
So there
completely
you can
wrong.
see-
No, it didn't happen. You keep talking, never mind what Paul
That's the
said.
base. Then I've taken Japanese maple from the garden.
Okay.
Which is really...
Which one is that? Okay,
one.
this little spiky
This
fella.
one.
Okay, yeah, keep it in.
And that's really beautiful autumnal colours. Right there, that's cotinus.
And we're going in on the top bit, are we? Okay.
Same direction.
Where do you get the little foamy ring thing? What do you call it, an oasis?
Yeah, so I buy that from my supplier, but I do sell it in my stores at Avoca. So I have 4 flower shops at Avoca, and we sell a lot
and
of...
you can go into a florist and say, listen, will you give me
can
one of
buy
the oasis rings?
I also do lovely kind of artificial wreaths that you can put out year on year then. So when we're finished our Japanese maple, so you can see there...
Yours already looks so much better.
It has a nice look to it. So the Japanese maple, you started putting your cotinus in. So it's good to use.
Well,
in
you said
odd
cotinus,
numbers.
so I just
Yes.
jumped
well,
at it.
Yes.
You're saying I've
Very
ruined
good.
it. That's what I'm hearing.
So it's good to kind of do it in stages.
Is it? Okay,
So, and the whole way around the wreath.
great. Thanks
You're
very much.
racing
yeah.
to this. Like, you're thinking like this is a race. Like, it's not.
And I do it generally in odd numbers.
Oh, now you tell me. See, that's the critical, but how was I to know?
The greenery you can kind of use as much as you want. But then when you start to use kind of the more decorative pieces, it's usually in odd numbers, so like 3s or 5s. So I put my cotinus in.
Okay.
Don't look at mine
No, I
because
won't.
he's wrong. He's wrong. I'm actually.
I have not. I don't know where he's getting
So
this
now
from.
we'll start with our flowers. And again, you don't have to put flowers in. Even if you just do greenery like this, it's absolutely
It's
gorgeous.
beautiful.
So I've got hydrangeas here, which a lot of people are lucky enough to have in their gardens. And these actually dry really nicely. So I'm going to pop these in.
Is it
like odd numbers, even numbers?
Odd.
Does it-
And
odd.
I've
Okay,
cut
so
you 3 little pieces. This is just one head split in 3, actually.
Is
So-
like floristry kind of like fashion, where it has its different trends
It
throughout the
does.
year and.
It does, but you know, people generally go back to the main theme of the event. So autumn would be generally the autumn colours.
Now, hang on, what are these yolks?
These are hypericum berries.
Hypericum.
Hypericum berries.
Would you find them in a garden, or do
Now,
you have
you
to buy
may
them?
not find these, but there'd be other types of berries people might have in their garden. And as I said, you can use any type of berry, really. But the themes, generally, it'll go along the same colour palette for autumn. But the materials you use are up to you.
And this is now a thing that
Very
celebs are...
good.
Thank you very much. I've just watched what we're doing.
I think you've done.
Exactly, I do a shift of the weekend.
go.
Laura
Viburnum.
Whitmore and all of those kind of celebs are
They're
doing these on
really
what?
going to town now, doing up their houses. They do their whole doors up.
And does that help business like yours? Like, do people kind of call into the shops in Avoca and say...
They would.
That's Laura
Looking
Whitmore's
for
one.
the materials.
My God, that's putting in some effort.
Beautiful.
And Stacey Solomon's another one as well. She's
And
kind of putting her
Tamara.
hand to it.
Yeah, Tamara Eccleston.
Hang on, Paul has jumped ahead and he's using these little fellas already.
Sorry.
Yes.
He's cheating.
So I've
What
done
are
the
these?
hypericum, I've done viburnum berry.
They're beautiful.
And now these are Chinese lanterns.
I didn't get any
Salad.
viburnum.
And they grow, do they?
Stealing your viburnum.
I think he's done yours.
You didn't give me any.
I did.
Did not. Where did these go?
So these are Chinese lanterns and they'll be kind of your finishing touch. And these are gorgeous because they also dry out. So even for a decoration for your table, if you had a white tablecloth, to put them along the table with candles.
With your Oasis ring, can you get something that's like a centrepiece for the
Yes,
for the table
this
as well?
works for table also.
Oh,
Just have to put
really?
a candle in the middle in a glass hurricane. So you can have that in the middle of a table
And
or on your door.
I would love to. I don't know about you. Do you know the way we've got Christmas tree?
Wait a minute.
I would love to do an autumn tree and then lead us into.
Yeah, so you could do your base.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with one of these little fellas?
So you pop that in here, just like so.
I've only got one.
No, I think
You've loads. You
they're
took half
being
of mine.
stolen.
Oh well.
They're being stolen.
Well, this is now.
Listen, life
This
is
is a
fair,
fix.
Anton, right? We'll get
I
past
gave
that.
everyone the same amount.
Did he pay you off before this started?
You can have some of mine. That's how generous I am.
So when they're done, how are we keeping them fresh?
So if they're outside, they'll stay good for quite a long time, as well as your Christmas wreath. They'll stay good for probably like 2 weeks to a month outside on your whole door.
Yeah.
Because the cool temperature
Yes,
helps them.
but if it's inside on a table, you'll have to bring it back out, pour water over it in the garden, let it kind of dry a little bit, and then put it back on the table. So it's all down to the temperature.
And
How
what
it'll
about
last.
in terms of because there is, and there's a lot of water in it, you can feel it when you pick it up, there's a
Yes.
heft of water in there. If you're hanging that sideways on a door, does it dribble down the door? Do you need to let it dry a
does,
bit
like
before
you can see there now it's dripping because I've just soaked it
Right.
this morning.
So let it
you
sort
can
of
let
dribble
it
out
hang
before.
maybe from like even a gate or a tree or something outside. Let the water drip off it and it'll eventually stop and then you can hang it.
And if I was to decide that I lacked... look at that, he's managed to make it look pretty. Mine,
No, I did give you a Clements.
Thanks very much.
But as I said, you can use whatever you like, and it's the same kind of formula no matter what type of wreath you're making. So if it's Christmas or Easter or something for the summer.
So that's lovely, but I think we should talk about the fact of who has the better one now, Joanna, right?
Yes.
Because I think I started off weak because Anton was really trying to ruin my situation. And now I think I'm coming up trump. So I think, Anton, if you wouldn't mind just showing the viewer, and you also could decide it at home, 0896 111 111, who has the best wreath here for Ireland AM. So, Joanna, in your professional opinion, if you were to look at this and say, Paul's great, but actually, who would you give it over to?
Am I not in the running now?
No, you're the professional, you're the ringer. You don't
I'm
count.
joking. Oh, no, I couldn't pick.
You have
you've
to.
both done a beautiful job.
I think mine has a subtle
if I
understated
had to pick
grace
maybe
for us.
Anton, only because he's followed the whole... He's followed everything around the whole wreath.
That's great, thanks, Joanna. Up
I'm
next,
sorry
thank
about
you so
that.
much. Thank you so much
You're
for being
welcome.
here.
You're
Up
welcome.
next, we answer your fashion dilemmas. Stay with us here on Ireland AM.
Thank you, Joanne.
Welcome back. Now, in fashion today, we're answering some of your burning questions. Stylist Judy Gilroy is here to answer them all. Judy, good morning.
Good morning.
So a little bit of a different twist here to fashion. We're taking some of the viewers' questions and we're going to answer them, yeah?
Exactly.
So the first question we have, what should I wear to a winter wedding? Now, of course, everybody's getting ready for their winter weddings and there has been so many because of COVID and the backlog and everyone's getting ready. So this is looking at what we should be wearing for our winter wedding. We're going to start with Kelly.
We have been inundated with winter wedding guest question ideas. And I have some solutions today from a fab brand, Oh Hello Clothing, which is an Irish brand as well. Some couple of common themes I noticed in the questions were to do with body shape. And one of those questions was, you know, what do I do to hide my tummy? It's something women are always really conscious of. And I thought that this dress that Kerry Nicole is wearing today is absolutely perfect for that.
The colour's beautiful, first off.
It's stunning. So this is a real eye catcher. So this dress, because it's got the asymmetric neckline with at the neck, and because it's got those wrap details at the waist, the neckline draws the eye away from the tummy, and the wrap waist is a really flattering fit as well. So this actually ties over, it cinches in all the right places, and this one is just really going to turn heads. It's really beautiful
the colour
dress.
and the sheen, and like you say, it's not just the women, the men as well are trying to keep them tummies hitting in, but for the girls here, that pull across, that's really kind of dragging us, that's really taking the eye to that.
Exactly, and it's going to be a really comfortable fit as well because it's double layered. So I think with what you're looking for, if you're conscious of your tummy, you want to cinch in the waist, and you want to draw the eye line in. So that dress is a really good solution. So I've just paired that dress there with that lovely pair of silver metallic heels, and these are from Green Shoes. Super price point on these. I think they're in around the €50 mark, and metallic heels are going to go with everything.
Absolutely.
This winter.
Now, the lady in red, Hazel, is here next. So this is a beautiful dress.
This is absolutely stunning, and I think that this is going to be amazing for any winter weddings coming into Christmas. So red is obviously a great colour come Christmas time, but this does come in lots of colours as well. It comes in black and a number of different colours as well. So this has a super size range going from a size 6 right up to a size 18 as well. So everybody's covered with this one. But what I loved about this dress is I noticed that lots of women were asking me, you know, what do I do for a dress length when I'm that little bit shorter in height? So this dress, if you're as tall as Haisa here today, it's going to hit you just under your knee. But if you're that a little bit shorter, it's going to hit you as a midi dress. So it's a really great dress for petite height women.
And you've chosen just to there's a little bit of bling in them shoes as well there.
There is. I like my sparkle. So our shoes today are from Green Shoes. They are a low enough heel, so they are super comfortable, but these are definitely a dancing shoe, and I think that black and red is super classic.
Thank you, gals. Thank you so much. Now, we're going to move on here to what are our top 5 autumn essentials for any wardrobe this year? That's another viewer's question that's come into us.
This is a really popular question as well. And I think that the trick with this one is everybody wants to know how to get dressed, how to make getting dressed every day a lot easier. And I think if you have a couple of really good essentials in your wardrobe, it makes life easier to do that.
So we're starting with the jeans.
So start with the denim. So these...
Now, I know the skinnies are out.
They are indeed. The skinny jean is dead. So these guys are a straight cut. These are from And Other Stories. And I think that if you have a jean like this that is in kind of that mid-blue wash, a straight leg that fits you really, really well, that they're going to go with everything. And I think top tip with jeans, make sure they fit you properly. So if you're a size 10 and the size 12 fits you better, buy the size 12. You want to be comfortable in them.
And of course, then moving on to our knit, we always need a staple knit in our wardrobe as well.
We do indeed. So this one is from Oh Hello Clothing, and I think a cardigan is a really good autumn-winter essential to have in your wardrobe. You can wear it in lots of different ways, and going for that camel colour just means it's going to go with everything. Yeah, exactly. And that's what you're looking to do with all of these pieces today. You want them to connect with each other and to go with each other.
Keep saving your book.
Yeah.
Is it a jacket? It is a jacket.
It is
it's gorgeous.
indeed. So listen, you can't have winter without an amazing winter coat. I picked this one up in Zara. So I think this is in around the €120 mark. What I like about this coat is you can wear it casually or you can wear it dressed up. So the belt ties in at the waist if you want to make it feel more tidy and smarter. But if you want to wear it looser, just tie the belt at the back and wear it oversized. So this is a really great coat.
And that'll go over our winter wedding dresses as well if you needed it to.
Exactly, it will indeed. So this here is a take me anywhere dress, or what I like to call a take me anywhere dress. So I think if you can have that one dress in your wardrobe that you can dress up or you can dress down, it's a really valuable piece to have. So this piece today is from Marks and Spencer's, and you can wear this with boots, you can add a belt, you can add a knit, trainers.
You're really nailing the staples down today. And then, of course, the blazer, which is iconic for, like you say, everything on this rail is so staple.
It really is. So our blazer today, I've got one. This one's from And Other Stories. It's a little bit more expensive, but I think a blazer is worth spending the money on. Of course. Because if you spend the money on it, you're going to have it for years. For me, I like an oversized fit because it means you can wear it over your T-shirt or you can wear it over a knit as well.
Brilliant.
And then I just have that little option there from Zara as well, which is a little bit more heritage feeling. And just if the black feels that little bit heavy, there's loads of great blazer options out there.
Brilliant, brilliant. Now, those are our staples. And then our last question is with regards to footwear. So we're talking boots here. So talk to us about these boots, because people are looking for, what should I be looking out for when it comes to bootwear for this winter?
Well, I think the number one thing with boots is a chunky boot is going to be your best friend. So this style over here, I've got two styles.
These are huge. These are everywhere.
They are everywhere. And listen, I have a pair of these myself and I've worn them every single day this week. So this guy here is from H&M.
Yep.
This is actually the exact pair I have. They're so comfortable. They go with everything. They look great with dresses, with leggings, with tights. And they've got the really chunky heel. But I did notice what people were asking me for was not to have so much chunk here as well in their chunky boot.
Yeah.
So I have this lovely option here.
This is a smaller chunk option then as well.
It is indeed, and this is from Zara. So it's the same idea, the same vibe, but maybe a little less trendy if you're a little bit more classic in your styling. But these are a great boot option to start with.
And then we're going a little bit higher.
We are indeed. So you can't go wrong with a knee-high boot. And today I have two options. I have the suede one and I have the leather one. Both kind of do the same job depending maybe on what you already have in your wardrobe. And these are from Green's Shoes. So the knee boot really is kind of like the length of the season. We're seeing them everywhere. Great with dresses, short, long,
denim, a bit of denim as well can go in there.
Exactly. Loving a knee-high boot.
And then lastly but not least, a stranger colour. It's obviously a neutral colour.
So this is an off-white.
But a chunky heel.
Exactly, yeah. So for me, I think one of the most valuable pieces you can have in your wardrobe is this neutral boot that's going to go with everything, that's going to level off an outfit. So say, for example, if like me today, you're wearing something like this crazy pink jumper and a pair of jeans, going for a neutral boot can be that little bit softer. So these guys are from Green Shoes, really comfortable, super quality.
Brilliant.
And going to go with everything in your wardrobe.
Judy, we've got more options a little bit later on and more questions from our viewers.
More questions coming up.
Perfect, thank you so much. Still to come, we chat to professional dancer Laura Nolan as she prepares to become one of Hollywood's most iconic women, Marilyn Monroe. Plus, there's a prawn curry to keep you warm this autumn. Stay with us here on Ireland AM.
Now let's check in your morning paper, starting with the Irish Times. Its headline there: Ireland will fail to meet EU water quality goal, warns EPA. The paper reports Ireland will fail to meet the EU and national goal of restoring all waters, including rivers and lakes, to good or better status by 2027. The Environmental Protection Agency has warned, saying agriculture has been having a disproportionate impact on declining standards.
280,000 still facing tax bills over PUP benefits. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. The paper says that hundreds of thousands of people have yet to contact Revenue to sort out how they're going to pay back money owed under the pandemic unemployment payment scheme that they would have received payment from during lockdown.
The Examiner leads with overcrowding experts for CUH. The paper reports that the same team of HSE experts sent to University Hospital Limerick in a bid to tackle chronic overcrowding will be deployed to Cork University Hospital and Galway University Hospital, Health Minister Stephen Donnelly has said.
On to the tabloids now. And start saving for Christmas is the top story on the Daily Mail. The paper says that households need to start saving for Christmas now. That's according to experts, as 12 months of non-stop price hikes continue to hit us in the wallet.
The Mirror goes with CAB to seize Kinahan Mansion. The paper reports that the Criminal Assets Bureau got the go-ahead to seize property from Daniel Kinahan yesterday.
Sun goes with that as well. Its headline, Keys to the Kingdom.
The Herald also goes with that story. It leads with money's too tight to mansion.
Now, we've had some texts in about our horror films earlier on.
Yeah.
Salem's Lost still freaks me out to this day. The Danny Glick part always makes me jump. That's Martina. And Laura says, when I was a teen, I watched Saw by myself, and that evening the electricity went out. Safe to say I ran over to the neighbour's house straight away. That's how I fell in love with horror. I was watching one. The electricity went out when I was being babysat, and my babysitter was asleep. And ever since then, I just fell in love with horror.
Would Texas Chainsaw Massacre be a horror?
It would most definitely be a horror.
See, I think that we have to come up with some different criteria here, because there's one text which says, maybe strictly not a horror film, but A Quiet Place with Emily Blunt and John Krasinski was the most tense experience I've ever had. People were afraid to eat their popcorn. Have you seen A Quiet Place?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
But there's no gore. There's very little gore. There's just tension all the way through. Yeah. Whereas Saw is just like...
There is the
blood
different one. There's like the blood and guts, the slasher. You've got the mystical ones, which are like the nuns and the priests who have all descended from a previous life. So you kind of find your niche into where you like. I'm a slasher man. Give me a bit of Scream any day.
OK, this is his favourite topic. If we were doing Mastermind, that's what your questions would be on. Anyway, there's plenty of time to reach us with your favourite horror movie. You can text us for free on WhatsApp. The number is 0896 111 111.
Got something longer to say? You can email us, irelandam@virginmedia.ie.
And of course, you can find us at Ireland AM VMTV on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
Up next, she's performed in Dancing with the Stars Ballroom, but how does she feel about performing as one of Hollywood's most adored stars? Dancer Laura Nolan chats becoming Marilyn after the break. You're very welcome back to the show. Our next guest has whipped celebrities into shape in Dancing with the Stars Ballroom, but this time she is centre stage herself.
Professional dancer Laura Nolan's brand new show, The Blonde Bombshell, tells the iconic story of Marilyn Monroe. Laura, you're very welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me.
Lovely to see you again. The last time you were teaching me how to dance, you're not doing it this time. We've another victim for you a little bit later on. But come here to me. This is quite an interesting concept, the whole story behind this. So you're telling the life story of Marilyn Monroe through dance. Is it like a Marilyn Monroe river dance kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. People are finding it difficult to kind of understand the concept that we're not going to be singing or there's going to be no acting. But what we have is narrators. So we have her quotes, and you'll have kind of a background where we're going to show the pictures, we're telling her life. It's like river dance come ballet. Ballet, you tell a story, and it's all through dance, and river dance is the same. So that's what we're doing, but we're doing it through different styles of dance.
And what made you pick Marilyn?
Well, you see, myself and another pro from Dancing with the Stars, John Edward Nolan, we went to the World Championships last year and we had to pick a theme. And we picked the theme of Marilyn Monroe, and then we ended up doing it on Dancing with the Stars as one of the pro dances, and then the concept just developed from there.
Yeah. So how do you channel your inner Marilyn? Because, I mean, she's quite a specific way of talking, acting, her mannerisms. Do you have to incorporate an awful lot of that into your dance?
Absolutely. It's all about trying to find the balance. You know, she's very known for her movements and her hand movements, her gestures. So it's trying to find moments to do it in, but as well as adding my own style and to dance.
Yeah.
So it is difficult, but it's all about the hips, you know.
All about the hips.
All about the hips and the
Of course,
hands.
it is all. Isn't it always with the dancing, specifically a lot of the Latin stuff? But what sort of dances are you? Is there a mix of all types of dancing in this?
There's all styles of dancing. We've lyrical, contemporary, ballet, ballroom, jazz, Lindy, jiving.
Lindy, what's Lindy?
Lindy hop is like a kind of a jiving, Charleston-y style of dance. And then, yeah, we have all of this kind of going on. We've everything. All styles of dance in there.
And do you do different phases depending on what stage in her life? Like, is there a Norma Jean style? Is there a Marilyn style?
Yeah, so we actually have all her stages. So depending on what type of mood we're trying to create, we have the different style of dance. So obviously when she was more sad, you know, after she passed, we have more the lyrical side and the waltzing side. When she's more in her hype of when she was signed to 20th Century Fox, we then have her more Charleston, quick-steppy kind of vibe. We're also after going for a lot of mix of songs. So we have her iconic songs in there, but we also have songs from the era and also from the musical Smash.
So what kind of songs have you picked that Marilyn would be well known for then?
Well, obviously your Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend.
Do you have the pink?
And
Do you have the pink for that?
Oh no, I don't know if I can tell you everything.
You can, you have to.
I go on, I might, yeah. I might just have it, but I have to, you know, she's known for that. So it's those type of moments that I really have to hit the nail on the head with it.
What about the Happy Birthday, Mr. President? Do we get that?
You might just, yeah.
Well, you won't be borrowing that out from Ripley's
that's true.
Leaving
That's
After
never
Kim
leaving again.
Kardashian, did it?
I know, imagine.
I
No,
know.
I'm actually, I wouldn't be able to dance in that anyway, sure.
You'd have to be sewn into it, for God's sake, never mind anything else. I don't know how anyone walks in dresses like that. But come here, we have to talk to you, of course, about Dancing with the Stars. I know, I mean, it's starting up again soon.
It is
the
indeed.
rehearsals.
Rehearsals are starting in a couple of weeks. I actually can't believe it's back to that time of the year. It feels like it's only after finishing and we're back again.
Yeah.
But it's all very exciting. Haven't got a clue who my partner is just before you ask. But I'm just excited to get back
What
into
do you
rehearsal
want
space.
in a partner? Do you want one where you think, I can actually make a dancer out of this person? Or do you think, look, give me one of the ones where nobody expects them to be any good, because that way I won't have to work so hard?
I think you work hard anyway, no matter what type of partner you have, because everyone goes into it thinking, sure, I'll just do a couple of hours, it'd be grand. But then the competitive spirit comes out. So you really just want somebody who is going to work and, you know, take it serious and also have the crack at the same time.
I suppose if you're looking for a dance partner and you're a female, you kind of want someone tall, dark and handsome. It's kind of a nice partner to have.
Yeah.
Makes the time pass a little easier.
Yeah, makes it pass a bit easier. Kind of like last season.
Like last season, do you know, if you've a tall, dark and handsome dance partner and you can gaze, the chemistry can, like, you don't have to fake it sometimes.
Absolutely,
the
it's
spark
real.
Is there,
the
Laura.
spark is real.
I feel you're going somewhere with this,
Elaine.
I'm not going anywhere with this at all, but my God, I don't know to anybody else, but last year, I remember I was watching one of the shows and I actually put out on social media, my God, those two are going to burst into flames, the chemistry between the two of you. And it wasn't out at that point that you were with each other, but I was like, yeah, they're together, kind of placing the bets. I was ringing my friends, texting me, do you reckon they are? Oh, we reckon they are. It's amazing. But, like, is it hard to kind of keep something like that under wraps? Because in the dance, you can kind of get away with it saying you're in character, but, like, outside of the dance thing, did everybody know, or did you kind of have to...
Do you know what? Surprisingly, even people on the show weren't 100% aware of it. I say that, but they probably were. But no, yeah, like, we were so isolated as well. You know, it was during last season, it was through COVID, so there wasn't many people around. We were by ourselves in the rehearsal space. So I suppose, like, you know, it was a bit easier to keep it under wraps. But this season, obviously no, because everyone's going to be around one another. But I think everyone had an idea in the studio anyway.
Anyway, you're still with Matthew.
Absolutely, it's going strong.
So you wouldn't want to be doing anything else with anybody else this year?
Absolutely
He probably
not.
doesn't want a tall, dark and handsome person for you at all.
Well, even if there was, I wouldn't go there. I have my tall, dark and handsome now.
That's so sweet.
I'm curious, how tall? Because he looks gigantic. What height is this guy?
He's 6'6". So people don't actually realise how tall he is. He made me look small, and I'm 5'8".
Yeah.
So yeah, he did have like a little bit of a coordination issue at the beginning, but we got there eventually.
So can you dance with someone that's a little bit shorter than you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
my knees would take a bit of a harrowing
Again, I
forward,
think you're
you know.
going somewhere with this, Elaine.
So prep your knees there, because we have a little volunteer over at the catwalk who's going to do a spin with you if you'd like to make your way over to the lovely Paul
Absolutely, I
Ryder.
will indeed.
I'm actually 5'9", Elaine, would you believe? So I'm probably like just a smidge taller than Laura. Now, Laura is joining me. We're going to go through some of the moves.
We are indeed. So, you know, Marilyn is all about her shapes, her hips and her broken wrists. Her broken wrists. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit from Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend,
Iconic.
right?
Absolutely iconic.
So we need to really get ready for this,
We're feeling
right?
the
So the
moment.
very first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our 2 feet together and lower into your hip.
And you're sitting into your hip.
You're sitting into your hip. And we're going to go a kiss.
Kiss.
On the hand.
On the hand.
And one of our iconic moves is quite continental.
Yeah.
Oh, because diamonds are a girl's best friend. Now give it your best shimmy. We're going to shimmy.
This will sell the tickets, if anything.
Oh, we're selling the tickets right as we speak. Now from here.
Okay.
Now the feet start to move. We're
Okay,
going to go
the feet
step
are
forward on the right and kick the left. Step forward, kick.
Kick.
Back tap.
Okay.
Step forward, kick.
Yeah.
Back tap. But you know now, this is not just a step forward, kick, back tap. We have to
Never.
do this in Marilyn style, so we have to add like a
We're
little bit.
shimmying with the
We're
step
adding
forward.
a little bit of shoulder, and we're going to keep our hands here with a little bit of movement.
Okay.
So we have step forward, kick,
And
back
a little
tap.
shimmy. Oh, I
step
love it.
forward,
We're
kick,
getting into
back
this.
tap. Now from here we're going to click, and we're going to give a hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, and then lastly a side to side with a bit of a hip.
Okay.
Okay.
So quick recap.
Quick recap. We have kiss
on the hand, maybe. Quite continental.
Because
Diamonds are a girl's best
friend.
Shimmy,
Jump up,
shimmy,
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 and
step.
forward kick.
Okay,
and back,
we're in it.
Kick
I'm
and
in it.
Forward kick and back, kick and one, two, hip hop and side and side and shimmy. Love it.
Should we
Absolutely
do this with a
fabulous.
bit of music?
I think we should.
Let's get this
To be honest,
going.
I thought my singing was pretty good now.
Absolutely brilliant. Oh, we're going to have to start that again. We're going to have to go right. Are we ready?
We weren't prepared for that.
And
Ready?
Go.
A kiss on the hand, maybe quite continental, but diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Shimmy, shimmy,
shimmy,
shimmy.
and
Step.
forward maybe grand,
Oh God, I'm
but
loving
it
this.
won't pay the rental on
And
your
click.
humble flat, or help you at autumnal.
Oh, love it. Very good. I think you could take my spot.
So, if you want to see me as Marilyn Monroe in Blonde Bombshell, no, I'm joking.
Just come here every single Friday where Paul will take you for a personal class.
Laura, thank you so much, and best of luck with the show. Tickets
Thank you very much.
for the Blonde Bombshell are available now on helix.ie. Still to come, it's true what they say, gentlemen prefer prawns. We're cooking up next in the kitchen, so do not go anywhere. Laura, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Inspired by nature, powered by light. Beko Harvest Fresh sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
You're very welcome back. Now we're cooking prawns in the kitchen, but of course it's not that simple.
Joining us now is Mindi Keane from Mama Nagy's with a special recipe to pimp up our shrimp. What have you got for us?
I have got you a lovely Sri Lankan prawn curry, OK?
OK.
I'm just going to dish yours out now for you because
That's the spirit.
that's the
Start with
one.
the good
Just so
bit.
you have it ready, that's all. Now, just going to give you a little bit there because I know you're all...
Wonderful.
Just going to get that out for you. Then you have that.
Thank you, thank you.
And there you go.
No, I assume we hold off eating this until you actually
You do,
start
actually,
cooking.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So you
I'm
kick
just,
off then.
I'm just going to
What
set up.
makes Sri Lankan curry different to other curries?
Well, there's a lot of coconut used into this, okay? So I'm just going to heat this up. So it's a lot of coconut and there's a lot more spices and we've got a little bit of sugar going in and we're going to use some jiggery, which is unrefined sugar cane.
Jiggery, so is that solid?
Sorry, it comes like this, yeah. That's how what
shave it
Indians
off.
would use instead of normal sugar, if you can get it. It's really good.
It has a better flavour than sugar,
It does.
does
It's not as calorific as sugar, believe it or not. It's better than sugar. It's supposed to be better for you.
It's all good.
OK, so I'm going to quickly start off. So I put 1 star anise, curry leaves, fennel seeds, and I've put in some lime leaves into a little bit of oil, OK? So just sauté them. Then we're going to throw in the red onions, simply because it makes it a little bit sweeter as well. With having a lot of lime and lemon going in, you need that bit of sweetness from the onions.
Does it have to be red onion?
Doesn't have to be. If you haven't got red onions, white's fine, OK? Yeah. But I'm just, because I have them, I'm using them, OK? So just go with what you have. Indian cooking's all about whatever you have in your cupboard. Don't even, you don't have to go rush out and buy stuff. Do with what you have. OK, so that's sautéing nicely. What I probably have on the menu, that you blend ginger, garlic, coriander together with... I'm using desiccated coconut, but if you can get fresh, now's the season to get fresh, fresh. But it's a lot of time consuming. We don't have the time, so I'm just going to do it. So I actually pulped this down, and I'm going to add my coconut to that, OK? So that's just ginger, garlic, coriander with a little bit of oil just to keep it so
And that's just into a blender or a stick blender?
Into
in
a
coffee?
blender,
Right.
yeah. So that's going in. And into that, I'm going to turn that down a bit.
It's already starting to smell lovely.
And then we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of the desiccated coconut, OK? Now, if you get, like I said, fresh, do fresh, but there is a lot of, about 3 in them, a bit more than we normally do. OK?
And does that need to be, do you need to cook the coconut much or once you can just add it straight?
Not really.
Right.
You don't have to, no. You just cook it along with it. A coconut, you can eat a coconut raw, so it doesn't really make a difference. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it just adds that extra flavour, OK? So once we've got that going in, we're going to add the spices. Again, we've got the salt, turmeric, garam masala, and we've got coriander powder. OK, so half of each. So I'm going to add the coriander powder in, half a salt. Obviously, add more later on if you want of the salt, if you prefer more. And with this garam masala, I'm going to add 2 of these. They're little spoons, so I'm just going to add 2, and then half a teaspoon of turmeric. Okay?
Is that a standard thing in the households that do a lot of Indian cooking, or is it a restaurant? Your little
No,
spice thing?
every Indian house has that. It's,
Really?
It's called a masala dabba, yeah.
A masala dabba?
Dabba, yeah.
Dabba,
Dabba
right.
means a spice box. So it's a spice box, yeah. So
everything you need. To make
everything you
Indian
need,
food.
and you don't have to go off and, you know, it's
Yeah,
all
digging
there.
things out of the back of the
it's
press.
like an Indian palette, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you basically, that is then cooking. I'm going to add in half a tin of tomatoes, OK? Just like that. Again, don't worry about gauging everything, you know, measuring things. Indian cooking, you never measure, OK?
Throw things in and hope for the best.
Exactly. Well, you don't need to, because you don't really need to. I find it really difficult. Now, the jiggery is what I'm adding in, OK? That's the sugar.
Jiggery, that's a great name.
You know, and I've grated it. It comes in a big solid block like this, and you can grate it or chop it up, but just be careful when you're chopping it up, because it is quite solid. That's...
Or about a tablespoon,
That's
is
gonna...
it?
Yeah, that's... Well, I've just... Yeah, about a tablespoon
It's
of
quite
that.
a sweet with the coconut and that. It's quite a sweet curry.
Yeah. But that is optional. You don't need to put that in. And then we're going to add in the coconut milk, a tin of coconut milk, and then you have this lovely...
I know it's stating the obvious, but it's going to be very coconutty with the desiccated coconut and the milk.
No, believe me, it's not. You
No?
don't.
Really?
Because
Okay.
all the spices and the herbs and everything, it all balances out.
It's not going to be
perfectly.
like eating a Bounty bar. It's going...
Well, I hope not.
She wouldn't be doing her job right.
Exactly, yeah.
Like eating a Bounty
No,
bar.
you will find, because of all the spices you've got, herbs and spices you got in, it's, you know, it's there. Oh, I forgot to add a bit of coriander there into it. And then what we're going to do now, I've already made one there, so that's what it should look like, OK?
So that's when it reduces down.
Well, it reduces down.
How
You
long will it
let
take
that
to reduce
cook for
down?
about 5-10 minutes. Let it cook down, let it reduce. You can also add in vegetables. I'm just going to throw in vegetables. Now, I'm not going to throw my prawns into this one. I'm going to put them into that one, which is already cooked. And so you can add vegetables, so it's optional. So I think I added peas in that one of yours. But you can just add vegetables.
just peas
It
in there.
bulks it up, and it makes it more of a substantial meal. If you've got family and stuff, it goes around more. And this is what you should have. It turns into a little sauce there. That's probably reduced a bit too much. Add a little bit more coconut milk into that if I have any. No. So and then we just basically add the prawns in then, OK? And the prawns, they don't take long to cook,
cook
as you
quite
know.
quickly,
Yeah,
don't they?
10 minutes or so, yeah. So these are lovely... are they called grey prawns or...?
Yeah, I believe, yeah. And they're, what do they call it? You're effectively just poaching them in the curry.
Exactly.
Until they're cooked through.
Yeah, and it's
And
not
gently.
long. And gently, because you don't want to break them up
they'll
either or
toughen
make
up.
them
They get
mushy.
too tough
if
And
you
if you
cook them too
overcook them,
quickly.
they do get tough, yeah. So I sort of butterfly them. Do you know when you chop them and they open up a little bit? So I butterfly them in, so it makes it a bit more...
And if you can get them in your fishmongers fresh, all the better.
That's perfect. Yeah, I got them from
So not wishing to be rude, are we at the point where I can eat this?
You can
Brilliant,
eat
thank you.
away.
That's what I've been waiting
Eat
for.
away.
That's all
And
I
I hope
needed,
it doesn't
right.
taste like a Bounty bar.
I can't believe you said that, a Bounty bar.
Well, I said
Do you not know
I
Mindi
just
at
asked
all?
Oh, yeah.
Does that taste of Sri Lanka?
It actually, you're right. There's coconut there, but it's way in the background. It's not the primary flavour.
Yeah.
Oh, that is gorgeous. Absolutely delicious.
Oh, my God. And there's a nice kick of heat off it as well.
Yeah.
And
The chilies are lovely.
do you have to go with prawn, or can you use
No,
any
so
fish?
you
or-
can swap it for fish. And if you do go for fish, go for the meaty fish, you know, like your sea bass and all your chunky fish.
You don't want anything that would disintegrate, wouldn't it, if it was too...
Exactly, yeah.
A lot of whitefish would.
Yeah, and also swap it for chicken if you don't prefer fish. So some people are not fish eaters. So, but
and in Sri Lankan curry, it's predominantly fish-based, is it?
Fish, yeah, because Sri Lanka will be a very coastal place. So the fish comes, obviously, it's all anything that's coastal, beautiful seas, and you know they would use a lot of fish, prawns, massive prawns and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, that is absolutely. And you finish it with just what? There's a little bit. Is that basil that's in it and a small?
No,
bit
it could be curry leaves or lime
leaves.
leaves. I used a few lime leaves as well. Yeah, and then coriander, obviously, just to highlight.
Garnish.
Yeah, to garnish it.
And a little bit of fresh chilli.
A bit of fresh chilies just to spice you up for Friday.
Oh, that has greatly improved my day, Mindy. Greatly improved my day.
You're easily pleased, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, that'll work.
Chef's in the kitchen, Anton's happy.
Recipe details, of course, are all up on our website. And as ever, you can check out Mindy's website, mamanaggies.ie, for more recipes and stockist details.
Up next, you asked and we've answered. We solve your fashion dilemmas. That's after the break.
Inspired by nature, powered by light. Becco Harvest Fresh sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
Welcome back. Now, you often send us your own style questions that you want answers to. So today, we're listening. Stylist Judy Gilroy joins us to help you out with your fashion queries. Judy, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us again. We're kicking off with the winter coat. Now, this is you know the summer's coming to the end when you start to buy the winter coats, and this is no exception. So we're starting with Kerry first.
This is something we are always asked about, and something people are always asking me about on Instagram, because you always want to find the perfect winter coat. And today I have two gorgeous options from Marks & Spencer's. So these full looks are from Marks & Spencer's in store at the moment. For our first look, I've started off with this camel car coat style, which is in around the €80. And you know what? I think that this style is a really good one to go for because it's so neutral. It's going to go with everything, and you can really dress it up or you can dress it down. So today I've gone for that real casual weekend look that's a little bit chic.
And the colour, the colour again, like earlier on, it goes with everything.
It does.
You can do day or night in this
And
coat.
that's what you want. If you're going to invest in one winter coat this winter, make sure it goes with everything in your wardrobe and that you can wear it dressed up or more casually. So today I've styled it over the lovely denim jeans. I've gone for a straight leg. We've gone for that lovely striped knit there, which is a really classic and a piece you can kind of wear all year round. And those jeans there, they're the Sienna. I love these. They're really good price point on them.
I love the cut off at the bottom. It's a bit different. Going with all shapes and figures, I presume, then?
Yeah, it really does, because they're high-waisted as well, but there's a little bit of stretch in the denim. And the thing I like about a straight leg is you can wear them with kind of the loafer style like we've done today. You can do a trainer or you can do a boot as well. So I feel like they are very versatile.
Yeah, and then the bag as well.
The bag also from M&S. Do you know what I think? A crossbody bag to finish off a look is always just fantastic. You can't go wrong with it.
The loafers then as well, and the loafers, they're all Marks & Spencer's as well.
Everything is Marks & Spencer's.
And again, it's the chunky heel that we're kind of looking for.
So that chunky loafer style is really in this season. And do you know what? I actually think if you're wearing a loafer with a jean, it's just that little bit more flattering when the loafer is chunky, because you have that kind of illusion of height.
And the chunky knit then underneath the jacket too as well. That's just kind of keeping everything tied
together. Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of these striped knits at the moment on social media and in magazines and everything. That Breton stripe is always really popular, and it's always a good one to have in your wardrobe. And you know what, just mentioning the knit, always make sure when you're choosing your coat then make sure it can go over the knit.
Things. I know
That's
what you
top
mean.
tip buying a coat.
Move it to Heisen now. It's a more classical look, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to take this kind of teddy bear coat, which is a really popular style at the moment, and to show how you can wear it in a more dressed up context.
This neckline seems to be really big. We're seeing it everywhere in every single store. Is there a name? Is there a reason? Is it just part of new fashion?
It's just really popular, and I think that idea of taking these like really light roll necks that aren't quite polo necks and putting them under this neckline is just super popular at the moment. You're right.
And
I'm
great
seeing
for
it
layering,
everywhere. They are really good for layering, and I think, you know, this teddy bear coat is a real layering piece. and we're seeing it so much at the moment. Like, it's a real designer vibe to it, but this one's just under 50 quid. It's almost like in between a jacket and a jumper, but really warm, really chic. So I've gone for an all monochrome look. Here we've gone for the black with the black straight leather pants. These are another real key piece at the moment.
These are beautiful.
I'm into these, and you know, when I got them, I thought that potentially they were real leather because they were so soft. They're only in around 50 euro.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the top
really
underneath it as well,
that's from M&S. Everything in this look
is it a synthetic or is it
the leather?
Yeah, in the top underneath.
In the top underneath, it's like really light. It's not quite a knit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not quite a knit. So it's going to be really breathable and comfortable. And I think that this is a really good kind of day to night look or a weekend look if you're going straight out for drinks. And again, it's all about the footwear and accessories. If you go for a nice handbag that has that gold detailing, immediately you're making it feel that little bit more elevated and bringing it to life. And the same with the boot, going for like that point toe boot with a leather pant is so chic.
And it's a smaller heel, but we can get away with that these days because we're not mad about our skyscrapers anymore.
And you know what? These are super comfortable. Actually, these are a fantastic option for somebody who's looking for a good boot, but they want to be able to walk around in them all day long.
Of course. So that's our winter coat for what we need, our staple winter coat. The next we're moving on to our smart casual options for work. Now,
for workwear.
If you're like me, you like a smart casual option because you can then go on a day to night situation too if you were heading for a few drinks after the day at the office. So these are some of our staple pieces that might help with just that.
Absolutely. And I think, do you know, when you're planning your workwear, plan it like anything else. Think about, does everything go together? Can I mix a couple of different outfits out of the same pieces? So that's what we've done here. So I have two options of white shirts here today. This one I'm holding here is a slightly less expensive H&M one, and the one on the rail is a cotton one from And Other Stories. And having a white button-down shirt is an amazing piece to have in your wardrobe, not just for everyday wear, but for workwear as well. It's a really easy way to spartan up a pair of jeans or a pair of pants.
And then we're moving on to this monochrome blazer jacket.
Exactly. So our blazer today is from Zara, and I've gone for something that's a little bit more fashion forward, but that's still quite classic, that you can wear in lots of different ways and with lots of different things. So with workwear, obviously you don't want to push the boat out too much, but you still want to be able to have fun with your own sense of style. And Zara do amazing tailoring. They really, really do.
And then moving on to I would have said knit, but I'm totally wrong there, am I?
So this is a little knit that I have to go with our wide leg pants, just to show you how if you have a pair of wide leg pants, it's so easy to put an outfit together because they're just so chic. Yeah. So this season, wide leg pants are all in, so it's really easy to get your hands on like cool pieces at a great price point. So our trousers today, both of these pairs are from H&M.
And they're the same trouser, just in different colours?
Different colours, yeah, in around the 30-40 euro mark, so you just can't go wrong with them. Perfect. And by mixing them with a little polo neck, that's it. That's your outfit sorted. You can pop your blazer on over it, and you're ready to go.
You're ready to go. And this is more the one piece fits all, or one piece suits all, I suppose, maybe.
Exactly. So I always love a dress to have in your wardrobe, and something like this really spoke to me because it's amazing for workwear, something kind of smarter. You can layer polo necks or shirts underneath it, but I still think you could pop a belt, tights, chunky boots on this, and wear it out socially as well. And that's what you want. You want your wardrobe to work hard for you and be able to go day to night, work and social life, and tick all those boxes.
Judy Gilroy, thank you so much. Now, are we heading where that's us now, isn't it?
That's us. I think we have a few questions from
we've a few of our questions from our viewers. My
who've been sending in their burning style dilemmas.
Question number... Sorry, I've lost them.
So I think we have a couple of little questions. I do recall we had one question on balled up knitwear.
Yes.
And this seems to be a really... This is, do you know what? This is something that I find to be a pain come this time of year as well. And our viewer was wondering what to do about the balls on her jumper. So piling is a really common issue. It's going to happen. Do you know what? A lot of people think that it's synthetic knitwear only that it happens with. It's not. It's luxurious knits as well.
It happens with everything. It happens with everything. Judy Gilroy, thank you so much. Over to Elaine and Anton. What's coming up on tomorrow's show?
Well, coming up tomorrow, he's the baker who received the coveted Paul Hollywood handshake for his focaccia bread. We'll chat to the current Great British Bake Off champion, Giuseppe Delano.
Plus, the first man to row from New York to Galway after 112 days at sea. Former professional rugby player Damien Brown will be stopping by.
Plus, everyone's afraid of something. We look at some of our famous faces to have been gripped by irrational phobias.
All that, plus the news, sport and weather you're waking up to. We're back in the morning from 9.
I just want to do a quick shout out to a student of mine, Lily Rose McCormack. Hello, my love. How are you? Happy birthday.
Oh, that's lovely. Anyway, see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.